The grand atrium of the Keishe Convocation Hall had hosted first contacts for 11,000 years, and in all that time, no delegation had ever arrived armed with nothing at all. Ambassador Wilthorin of the Ashen Compact noticed at first the way the human security detail flanking Ambassador Marcus Webb wore no energy blades, not even the ceremonial stun batons every other species considered baseline courtesy. Just for humans in dark suits, hands folded, eyes calm. "This is a provocation," hissed Counselor Rindalata, her mandible plates clicking with irritation. "Every species in this chamber comes armed. It is a tradition. It is respect to show that we trust the piece enough to still prepare for its failure." Marcus Webb, 51 years old, silver at the temples, raised a hand before his aide could answer for him. "With respect, Counselor, we didn't forget our weapons. We left them home on purpose." A ripple of translated murmurs crossed the chamber, 900 delegates from 41 worlds, and for a moment every one of them stopped breathing in whatever way their biology allowed. "Explain," said High Speaker Orlum Vex, the towering Thrall presiding over the session, his four eyes narrowing with something between suspicion and fascination. Webb glanced back at his guards. The nearest, a broad-shouldered woman named Rachel, gave the faintest nod. The kind soldiers give when they trust the man in front of them completely. 6 years ago, Webb began. Before first contact protocols were even drafted, we ran a war game. Hypothetical scenario: hostile alien delegation. First meeting, something goes wrong. Shots fired. We wanted to know what happened next. And Vex pressed. We lost. Every single time. Webb, let that sit. Doesn't matter how good our people are. In a sealed room, surrounded, outnumbered, the humans with guns died first. Because a weapon in your hand changes how a room reads you. It changes how fast the other side's hand moves to their own weapon. It turns a misunderstanding into a massacre in under 4 seconds. Dalataskaitin rattled a sound the humans had learned meant contempt. "So you send in unarmed bodies as tribute?" "That is not strategy, Ambassador. That is surrender, dressed as a ceremony." "That's what we thought too," Webb said, until General Kowalski asked a different question. Not how do we win the fight in the room, but how do we make sure the fight never starts? He walked forward, slow, non-threatening, exactly the way he'd been trained to for a decade. "You want to know what a human diplomatic guard actually is, Counselor? It's not someone who's given up their ability to hurt you. It's someone who's spent 18 months learning 41 different species. Body language so well they can read an attack 3 full seconds before it happens, long before your own guards. Hands reach their holsters. It's someone trained to put their body between you and a blast at point-blank range and survive it. Because our combat medics can do things your surgeons would call impossible. It's someone who has memorized the exact words, in your own language, that de-escalate every species in this hall. Because we made them study grief and anger and fear across 41 different cultures until they knew it better than their own." He stopped in the center of the atrium, right beneath the Great Convergence Dome, where the light of 100 worlds' flags refracted onto the floor. "We didn't disarm our guards. Counselor, we replaced the weapon. A gun can stop one threat, once, badly, in a room already on fire. What we built instead doesn't wait for the fire. It reads the smoke before anyone strikes the match. Silence. The kind that has weight." Then Rachel Ostrander stepped forward unbidden and addressed the chamber directly, a breach of every protocol Webb had drilled into his people, and he let it happen anyway. 2 years ago at the Trailing Outpost, she said, a Vashari delegate collapsed mid-negotiation. Nobody in that room knew what was wrong, including his own staff. I did. I'd studied Vashari neural shock response for 4 months, specifically because I was told I might never need it. I didn't have a weapon on me. I had a compound in my jacket pocket that saved his life in 90 seconds because carrying it mattered more than carrying a gun. She looked directly at Dalata. That's not a weakness, Counselor. That's a different kind of readiness. We just didn't build it to kill people. We built it to make sure nobody in the room ever has a reason to. High spoke of X's for eyes, moved slowly across his own honor guard, bristling with sidearms, standing rigid, watching the humans with the particular tension of soldiers who suddenly weren't sure what they were looking at. "You are telling this council," Vex said quietly, "that your species' answer to 11,000 years of armed diplomacy is to become so good at understanding us that a weapon became unnecessary." "I'm telling you," Webb said, "that the most dangerous thing in this room was never going to be a gun. It was going to be a misunderstanding nobody caught in time. So we built people who catch it, every time, before it starts." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, deliberately, Councillor Delata reached down, unclasped the ceremonial blade at her hip, and set it on the floor before her chair, the oldest gesture of trust her species possessed. One by one, down the long curve of the chamber, 40 other delegations did the same. Marcus Webb didn't smile. He just nodded once, the way a man does when a plan he'd bet everything on, finally, quietly, works. Behind him, Rachel Ostrander watched every hand in the room, still reading, still ready, still unarmed. And the peace, for the first time in 11,000 years, walked into that hall, not because anyone was afraid to break it, but because no one in the room could find a reason left to try.